Perfect. Kara Swisher, how you doing?
Good, really good.
How did you make Mark sweat at all?
No, not really. He was wearing a vest without sleeves, so he was fine. I think he was safe.
And no breaking news. He's pretty silent.
Yeah, he was. He talked a lot about where trends were going, which I think was what the crowd wanted to hear about. And I think it's really important to talk about where things are going and where they are right now.
So, what are your thoughts on where things are going and what we're going to see?
Obviously, mobile payments is hugely going to be. As mobile is everything. For smartphones, mobile presence, location, kind of thing, are really the way things are headed. With these, these phones are really small computers in your pocket. They move with you, that know what you're doing, and things like that. And so, I think those issues, especially as they mix with, movement and buying, is the most important thing happening in the internet right now.
Should credit card companies be scared?
No, because you'll still have the number. You'll still have your credit card number in your payment system. It's just you might not eventually be carrying a credit card in your hand and handing it over. I mean, you're going to do that for a while. It's just like books. But you can see the trend towards books is going to be on these pads and tablets. And eventually, you're still going to have books, but it's not going to be quite the same power as it used to be. The same thing with movies or television shows. They're moving and they're much more fungible and movable. And so that's changing. It's just a changing way you consume them.
Yeah. So I guess tools like Bling Nation, they're not going to be like taking over the credit card companies' rules.
No, you still have these banking relationships, these regulatory stuff like that. So it's sort of an ecosystem. It's just they won't necessarily be on the front end of it. Now they might decide they want to do that, but they're usually technologically inept, so probably not. I mean, in that regard.
So this is one of the first payment conferences in its second year. How does it feel being here? Describe the energy.
Oh, I don't know. I can't describe that. I don't know. Well, I mean, I think payments is really important because people have to make money at these things, and there's a lot of areas, gaming. As you move through the commerce world, location, these things like Foursquare, they're all built around a commerce idea. The idea is that you're somewhere and you want to buy something or do something or take an action, and a lot of it has to do around buying or consuming, and so it's really important. It's a really important arena.
Are you a big user of Farmville?
Not at all. I don't like any of those games. I don't use any of those.
But that's funny because Tim O'Reilly's like, we don't get it. They're stupid, but they work.
No, I get it. Yeah. It's a mundane task that you keep doing, and I have enough mundane tasks in the real world that I keep myself plenty busy, doing my own strawberry reel patch kind of thing.
What are the most exciting things do you see coming out of, I guess, a conference like this?
Well, I think about where it's going. I mean, the idea of these smartphones, again, are really important computing devices. I mean, people joke about Star Trek, but these really are communicators, the same thing, where there's tons and tons of information in them, and you carry them around and then pull down things from the cloud. You have to think about the implications of that, of moving computing away from a desktop environment toward more a tablet environment, a smartphone environment, a portable environment, which is really big.
I like what he said, how mobile phones are never going to replace the computer.
Well,
I mean, I feel like
I think they are.
I mean, that was an interesting
I don't think
thought.
mobile phones. I think there's tablets are also mobile. You know, the idea that you move, and eventually screens are going to be everywhere. That's the one thing he didn't talk about: the ubiquity of screen technology, where you have touch screens everywhere, and you just put your phone down and move information back and forth. I see that tables, objects becoming computing devices that you don't think about as you do the typical mainframe computer kind of look.
So we're all talking about this year. What do you think we're going to be actually using and doing in a year from now here at Innovate?
I think probably the idea is evolving a lot more, that you don't use the credit card, that you use the phone as a credit card. Now, it's used across the world like that in varying ways, in Japan especially, and a lot of Asian countries use the phone as the payment device. But I think doing that more and actually knowing where you are and then offering you things, as you move through whatever real world you're in. But the virtual world intrudes. Sometimes it'll be intrusive, sometimes it'll be really helpful.
Right, Kara, who's the next person you want to break down?
Break down? I don't know. Gosh, Mark Andreessen. I'm going to get him on the stage at D, and hopefully he'll be wearing that sweater vest, and I'll get him down on the ground.
There you go, and take it off and see the label.
Yeah, right, exactly. Exactly. Lots of people. We like to do really informative, and that was an unusual situation with Mark, but we weren't expecting that, to say the least. But I think it's really important to ask tough questions of these people, because they're in charge of a lot of people's lives now, the way people interact and buy and talk to each other. So it's important that they are questioned about what they're thinking and what they think about privacy and things like that. So we think that's important.
Well, yeah. So I know Zuckerberg. So who's the next person we should be prodding a bit?
I think continuing Facebook and Google, obviously. Google is still an important company in that regard. And as you start to look at these third-party companies that are getting big, you have to look at them. Like, what responsibilities are they thinking about towards consumers?
All right, perfect. Kara Swisher, All Things D, check it out.